What's going on, everybody? Today I'm here with my sister Maddie,
Hi.
and we're going to be looking through some strange shit found in museums. Or I guess they're just strange museums in general.
Yeah, I don't know who the target audience is for these museums. I feel like this is just people who had weird music. Or fucking, this is just for like weird people who have like weird collections and they don't know what to do with it, so they just open a museum.
Yeah. Let's get into that right now and start off with number one, plastination. Have you ever heard of plastination?
No.
Do you know what plastination is?
Never heard of it.
Okay, so basically, back in 1977, this dude that I'm gonna go ahead and. Oh, I think he's Polish. I googled it.
Okay.
His name is Gunther von Hagens. And back in 1977, he developed. It was like an anatomy practice. I don't know, it's weird. It's a preservation technique that he developed where, like, you replace the fat and water in a corpse. I get like a new corpse, so it's not all up with like these special plastics that he found or made. I don't know. I couldn't find out like what plastics were used, but basically what it does is it keeps the bodies from decaying and whatnot, so they don't stink. Yeah, so like you can display like a real ass human body.
Ooh,
And
so it's just like a museum with just dead people?
Yeah, and it kind of looks like a toy. And the actual practice is pretty controversial.
Yeah.
So there was this news reporter named Zhang Weiji, and she was pregnant, and she went missing, and she was like never found, by the way. And this is just a assumed thing, is that she was murdered in like this weird revenge thing, and then put on display in one of these plastination museums. Gunther von Hagens.
Yeah, he had to be like, I don't know how, I didn't do it.
Yeah, he had to deny the claims that she was the one on display here.
That's a little bit funny though, like getting a crime like that and then just being like, oh, I know exactly what to do with this body, and then bring it to a fucking...
And plastinating it, yeah. Did you say that was funny? And I'm just gonna do a little graphic content warning, because while this is like technically like an educational thing, I guess, it's understandably pretty disturbing to some people, I would imagine. But here's an example of human plastination, and so it's pretty fucked up. It's pretty weird.
This next museum is called The Good Vibrations. It's an antique vibrator museum in San Francisco, California. And I forgot to write down the lady's name who owns it, but
We'll pop it up.
she has vibrators from like the 1800s up to like the late 1970s. It said that vibrators were originally invented to treat hysteria by inducing hysterical paroxysm, which is
to make you come. Alright, and this next one that we're going to be talking about is it's gross. It's real gross and nasty. The Avanos Hair Museum. I might be mispronouncing the Hair Museum. So this is a museum that's it's located in Turkey. Yeah. It's in a town called Avanos. That's what the town is called. And this is like just like if you look at lists and whatnot. I don't know who the fuck is to say about these lists necessarily, but it was on lists as like just like the weirdest museums in the world.
Yeah.
So it's pretty funky. It's a funky place. Mm-hmm. It's a weird little funky place that you can go to, and it's nasty and gross. And I bet it stinks. Ooh, I bet it might stink. I bet it might stink. I don't know.
Ooh, imagine if that place caught on fire.
It smells like Bigfoot's dick. So this museum was created by a potter. Like a really like well-known potter that's super badass, I guess, at pottery.
Does he make pottery like with the hair? Or
I hope not.
Is that just two separate hobbies?
It's two separate hobbies. His pottery shop in Avanos is located above the museum. So it's like a little basement area, I suppose. It's a really creepy looking like place. I'll show you a picture of it in a second. So in that little basement area, it's got a collection of human hair from over 16,000 different women who's visited. with a piece of paper containing an address. A piece of paper with an address on it, just with a bunch of different locks of hair.
Their hair?
Yep, and an address. They go, they buy like a Dutch oven, a little pot, and then they, I guess, hear his sob story about, and let me tell you about this, because I personally, and it's no offense, kind of weird to me, I think it's a little weird, because, the story about this, like, do you want to call, would this be called a tradition?
I don't know.
Whatever.
Ritual?
Ritual! This began when, okay, so he had Ches, the owner, the pottery guy, and the owner of the museum. He had a woman friend who had to leave Avanos.
Yeah.
And so she was like...
She just moved?
She was like, here, remember me by this. Boom! And I guess she just,
So
like, ripped a bunch of her hair out.
She just moved and he got sad, so he started collecting hair?
Well, no, she, gave him a lock of her hair.
Yeah.
To remember her by. And ever since then, women that have visited the shop, I guess he's told them this story, and I guess...
And so
yeah, you have to really church it up. It made me really sad. It'd make me really happy if I could have a piece of your hair.
See,
In your address. So I could hang it down in my basement.
See, if he was gonna
hang
do
your
all
hair
that,
and
he could
address
at least,
down in my basement.
he could at least lie and say she died. I feel like he would get more hair that way.
Yeah, no, she just had to move. Hey, dude, fuck. I gotta move town. Fuck.
What if he was like already like weird and stalking her?
That... I might move to Turkey because I'm... No, I'm not gonna move to Turkey. Let me...
I could see if it was one thing, like... I know back in the like Victorian era, they would use hair to make like little memorials of people when they died. Like they would make hair jewelry and shit like that. I could see if it was a museum full of that shit, but just taking people's hair.
Yeah, just hair
Just
and an address.
Also, just because his friend moved.
And I got this from the actual website for the museum. It just says addresses. It doesn't specify what kind of address. Like if it's their home address or whatever. Like it could just be an address to a pizza place or something. You don't know.
I don't know how the women of Turkey sleep at night knowing some man just has a lock of their hair and their address.
I don't know if it's their address though. It's probably their address. He's like,
probably.
Put your address
Ooh,
on
imagine you're just
I'm
hanging
not gonna
out.
come to your house. I've been here collecting hair.
So this next one on my list is definitely not as weird as all the other ones on this video, but I just wanted to put it in because of a show I watched, because it's pretty funny. In Middleton, Wisconsin, there is a museum called the National Mustard Museum, and the guy who owns it is named Barry Levinson, and he owns like over 500,000 kinds of mustards.
You're talking about like hot dog mustards and like Grey Poupon and shit like that.
Every single kind of mustard from like different eras, different brands, shit like that. All kinds of shit.
I went to an all-night grocery. I walked up and down the aisles. Suddenly, I heard a voice.
Collect us.
And you don't argue with voices at 2:30 in the morning in an all-night grocery.
The guy, Barry Levinson, he was on the show called My Crazy Obsession, which is the spin-off to
about mustard?
It's the spin-off of My Strange Addiction, but just with people's like little collections and shit. This dude, it was so funny. He wore all yellow. He only wore mustard yellow clothes every day. There's a part where he's in a restaurant with his friend, and he's eating some french fries or whatever, and his friend is trying to get him to just dip one french fry in some ketchup, and he has a meltdown and straight up leaves the restaurant. He will not eat any other condiment but mustard. It's
just
so
loves
funny.
mustard. Okay, if I hit 1,000 subscribers before June, I'll do the ketchup coffee thing in a video. You don't have to do it. You can just be a coward. And then the final one that we're gonna be like really getting kind of like going around in like this and get like kind of putting movement back, like having some movement back there.
What's all that movement back there?
Speaking of the ketchup and mustard guy getting into a physical altercation and beating each other to death in a restaurant over dipping their french fries in different condiments, this next museum is about leaving your romantic partner. And I imagine that's probably, if they were dating, they'd probably have broken up.
Right.
And that was a funnier idea in my head. You can dislike this video. Don't dislike this video. Like this video and subscribe if you thought it was funny, and I like you. I love you.
Or if you thought the joke was bad, like the video so he'll drink ketchup.
Subscribe, and then I'll torture myself. I'll be a clown. I'll be a clown. Subscribe, and I'll punch myself as hard as I can in the face. The Museum of Broken Relationships is located in Zagreb, Croatia. I don't know if I said that right, but this opened in 2006, and it started after a couple. It was a sculptor and a film producer couple. They were like, yeah, they were in a relationship for about 4 years, from what I could find, but they broke up after about 4 years, and I assume it was on good terms because they joked afterwards about opening a museum to keep their like leftover effects or whatever you would call it. They like joked after breaking up about starting a museum to keep their leftover shit that neither of them wanted because they reminded them of each other, and they just didn't want it. And a little bit later, that joke turned serious when the dude hit her up and was like, "Hey, we should actually start that fucking museum. We should really start it up." They actually started to contact friends to get like their artifacts to like put in the museum.
That's so funny.
And then that's how the collection started. And then I'm assuming more stuff was added and whatnot. They didn't expressly state that, but it's gotten bigger and they've opened more as they've gone on world tours. They're in the U.S. and they're also in the United Kingdom.
Interesting.
And just in a bunch of other countries too that I...
So do they just take donations of other people's leftover shit from their relationships?
I suppose they do.
All their shit.
It might be all their shit, but I'm assuming they probably take donations, but you might have to like do a weird...
There's got to be other people donating shit, right?
That pissed me off. If I was like, "Hey, here, take my thing," and they were like, "You're not artistic," and I'd be like, "The doctor said I was artistic." And before we wrap this video up, we're gonna go ahead and go over some honorable mentions here. No, we're not. So I didn't notice, but the camera stopped recording. I think the battery died after that part, like shortly after that part, so that didn't get picked up. But I'll leave a list of the honorable mentions because we didn't really talk about them anyways. Here's the list. But thank you for watching this video. Leave a like and subscribe. I love you. I'll give you a kiss.
It's caught in the crossfire.